Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition live forum. I'm your host, David Dadakian with Eat Drink Rhode Island, a small business here in Rhode Island. Thank you for joining us again this week. Just a few housekeeping things before we get started. We have a lot of things going on with the coalition. There's going to be a lot of new information coming in the new year. So please head to rismallbusiness.org and sign up for our newsletter so you're on our mailing list and you'll find out all the great things coming. This is going to be our last episode of this year, of 2021. We'll be back again. We're taking a brief break and then we'll be back again on January 11th with Governor Dan McKee, which is great to start off our new year with the governor. So if you have questions for Governor McKee, please send them along to the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition. And we've got a great slate of guests for the upcoming year. A lot of representatives from the General Assembly, a lot of folks from small business support groups. So please keep watching every 2 weeks, Tuesday at noon, or anytime on Facebook Live. Facebook videos on the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition page. Again, we won't be here in 2 weeks on December 28th, but we will be back on January 11th with Governor Dan McKee. Today's guest, I'm very excited to have Warwick Mayor Frank Picozzi with us. It's nice to have the mayor with us. And I think I hope I dressed appropriately for you, sir. You are certainly a man with great Christmas cheer, which I appreciate. So I wanted to throw this on today to say thank you to you and your light show and raising money for the Tomorrow Fund. Is that correct?
Yes. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Yes. For those of you out there who don't know, we'll get into the small business stuff, but I just want to plug and say that Mayor Picozzi does a gorgeous decorations of his house, outdoor lights, and there's an ability to give to charity, which is the Tomorrow Fund, which is what he raises money for, which is a great charity. So let's dive right in, Mr. Mayor. Let's talk about small business and work, because Warwick is definitely, if not one of the most business centric parts of our state, it may be the number one. There's certainly small businesses all up and down Post Road, Bald Hill Road, Centerville, sorry, and lots of big businesses too, which we could touch on. But tell me your thoughts on small business and work, and how would you summarize it?
There's a lot of opportunity here for small businesses, kind of a comeback. We haven't had the last couple of years getting a lot of development. I think it froze.
Yeah, it looks like you just froze for a minute there, but you're back. I hear you.
You still have me? Okay. I don't know if you got what I said. I mean, it's been kind of stagnant here in Warwick for small business the last couple of years, but we've created an economic development department, and we're starting to promote the city more, and we're having a lot of businesses opening up currently.
Well, you yourself are a small business owner, correct?
Yes, I was. I gave it up when I became mayor. I was a contractor, home improvement contractor.
Yes, exactly. And were you based in Warwick? Or were you based out of your home, or how do you?
Out of my home. I was small. I was just, it was just myself, and I'd hire whatever subcontractors I needed to get the job done.
Understandable. So many of us are sole props in the small business community. So you're familiar with Warwick and opening a small business in Warwick. What's the process in Warwick? How does it work? Is there a small business office in the city hall there? How's that all work?
We have an economic development department, which I just instituted. We hadn't had one in years. So you go there and they shepherd you through the whole process. The zoning challenges, building permits, from soup to nuts. We help you right down the road. It's a concierge system.
Excellent. Great to hear.
We'll even help you locate business that'd be advantageous for what you want to open.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, like I mentioned at the top, you certainly have certain areas of the city that are very sort of commercially indicated. They're a way to get people to certain spots. Bald Hill Road is certainly the one that pops into my head. I mean, yes, people think of the big box stores there, but there's lots of small businesses that disperse up and down that street.
Yeah, there's certainly there. That commercial strip goes all the way down to the malls.
Right, exactly. Yeah, starts in the malls and heads all the way to East Greenwich.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I have good friends who have businesses on it, and certainly have been succeeding there for years, which is nice. How do you, when you look at a spot like that, or you look at Post Road or Greenwich Avenue, how do you? Is there a balance? Is there a way to keep the small businesses active and coming in when opposed to again the big box stores? I mean, which you all realize are a necessity, but they do take up a lot of space.
Yeah, we focus on smaller businesses too. I mean, restaurants, pizza places, things like that. They're important. We have a number of empty buildings in Warwick. I mean, this is away from Route 2. This is down where people live, and we're focused on trying to fill these up. And we're being pretty successful at it so far. We have a lot of buildings just been let go over the years, have been vacant for a long time, and that's kind of what we're focusing on.
No, that's great. I know that stretch there in between the airport and Greenwich Avenue and Metro Center Boulevard. Where I was thinking of one of our coalition board members just opened up a business in one of those buildings, and
Oh,
obviously Proclamation Ale has been a huge success over there.
right.
Uh,
We
you
have,
know,
we're trying to focus on the road. Years ago, they had a lot of businesses there. Then they got kind of taken over by car lots. I mean, the rental car lots and parking lots. Since they built the big parking garage, those have been largely vacant and they're just sitting there. And we're trying to focus on that now. Just bring back a commercial strip there with some residential. I mean, we have some apartment buildings opening around there too in that area.
well, since you brought up residential, that's always a question that our members ask about how, the housing right now is at a premium. It's very hard. But the more people that live in an area, the more traffic and business, the small business is going to get.
Right.
What's your outlook on housing there and work, and what are you doing there?
We don't really have a lot of land left in Warwick. We've had some proposals, interesting proposals. Some are going through the process now, but apartment buildings down near City Center, down near Metro Center Boulevard, and on Post Road, and that fascinates me because we're going to bring a lot of people in, a lot of residents in, and that will certainly help businesses in the area. It'll bring more businesses to the area.
No, it's good to hear. It's good to hear. It's certainly a difficult situation right now. Like, you're not alone. We talked to the mayor of North Providence a few weeks ago, and same situation. I mean, you look at North Providence; it's a very compact, tight town. There's not really room for much more housing. So, apartment buildings sounds like a great solution, and hopefully, it's brings in a certain affordability too. That so there's a diverse population.
One of the proposals currently going through is called workforce housing. It's for the kind of person who doesn't want to buy a home and the rents are very reasonable. They tend to buy old hotels because this one is going to be in the old Sheraton Hotel because a lot of the construction is already there. So it's going to bring people in. It's going to be for an affordable rent. So it's not subsidized. It's just less expensive place to live.
No, that's great. That's fantastic.
I'm kind of hoping that they're looking at some other properties we have too. It's a concept that I hope that gets some traction.
Oh, sounds positive. All right, so let's jump into the big elephant in the room, the one that everyone is always talking about when it comes to small business, and we had some news on it last week from the governor of the General Assembly, the ARPA funds, and what Warwick's doing with it. I think there's no secret. I don't want to hit a negative note, but a lot of folks in Warwick have responded to the Small Business Coalition polls and things of that nature, saying that the grant program that Warwick put together is very elaborate and perhaps a bit prohibitive. Have you heard feedback on the grant program set up for small businesses? What are your thoughts?
I haven't. I've heard positive feedback from it. We do that through the CBG grants, and it's been successful. It is elaborate because it's federal funds, but I mean, it's a process to go through. In most cases, people are very successful with it.
Well, that's good to hear. I certainly will pass that along to our members to make sure they go through it and give it a try. I know one of our members printed it out and he said it was a lot of work, but it is a grant program. So, I mean, that is an advantage. What else do you see the ARPA funds used in regards to small business? Do you see other opportunities, or is it mostly you're now concentrating on infrastructure and things of that nature?
Infrastructure. We have significant infrastructure needs, and anything we want to build here, we have to improve our infrastructure for. It was let go for decades. Warwick really blossomed during the 50s and 60s, and there wasn't a whole lot of planning to it. It's just a suburb that just sprouted out. I mean, the population more than doubled in a period of 10 years. So there wasn't a lot of planning, and we're paying the price for that now.
That makes sense. I can understand that. I remember as a kid, a lot of family members and friends moved into Warwick, and yeah, I could see the growth rapidly happening there. You're right. That's a very good point. So can you elaborate at all on what Warwick's plans are for some of the ARPA funds? What are your thoughts?
We're doing a lot of. I mean, we're putting it together now. A lot of it's going to go for water and sewer infrastructure. As I said, we have significant needs that have been let go for a long time. We want to get down into the roots of ball fields, recreational facilities, things like that. We want to improve the overall quality of life here. It's what I'm trying to avoid is instituting programs that after this money runs out, there's no more money to fund them, and they just close down. It's a pitfall we really have to avoid.
No, that's an excellent point. Do you see, I know a lot of the big businesses that come to different cities and towns around the country, not just here in Rhode Island, they, want some incentives. They want some breaks. I mean, we talked about it with the mayor of Johnston, and the Amazon plant that's going in. Do you see things like that still happening in Warwick? Is the tax coming from some of those larger big box stores and things of that nature steady? Is that good income, or is it still an issue of like I can think of most recently Market Basket or some other large companies like that coming in? Are they still looking for incentives and breaks?
Well, they all do, but it depends on the year. We have over in Jefferson Boulevard area, Metro Center Boulevard. It's called City Center. There are enormous tax. It's already built in. There are enormous tax opportunities for companies that open in that area. It goes all the way over to Post Road. Everything after that, incentives would be a one-off situation where you'd have to go to City Council. It's not something Warwick really does. And most companies don't hold us to it. They just come here because they just think it's beneficial for them to be here.
No, that's certainly true. I can see that with a lot of stores that would be a great advantage to being in some of those spots in the town, like I mentioned. That's good to hear that incentives aren't high on the list, because it's a necessary evil, understandably, but still it takes away from the other businesses in town.
Exactly.
So let's talk about, you talk about quality of life, you talk about infrastructure. I think a lot of people know, huge parts of Warwick are suburban and good spots to live. When you have that, we've kind of lost a little bit in Rhode Island and other parts of the country too, not just here, because of cars and things of that nature. Do you find ways can you find ways to increase small businesses in some of those areas and neighborhoods, or do you think that's not coming back?
Well, I hope it would come back. I like the little mom and pop stores. I'm not sure what kind of a future they have. I talked about pizza parlors. We have a ton of them here in Warwick. Some smaller stores that work out. I would like to see that. I'm not sure if everybody buys on the internet now. It's crazy. I mean, people don't even go to the restaurants anymore. They have DoorDash come. It's society's changing a little bit. This makes it challenging for small businesses. But I think if you offer something special with good service, you're always going to succeed.
No, it's an excellent point. Thank you for pointing that out. I think that needs to be, we all seem to just accept that as normal in the small business community, but it does need to be said. I think that's important to point out. We've had some questions from members here, not specific to small business so much, but specific to Warwick. The issue with the firefighters and the misuse of sick time came up from some of our small business members. Could you give us an update on what's going on there? I know in the news. I haven't read the latest, but I saw an article a few weeks ago about this. I know you're working on it and you're very concerned.
Well, most of the reason for our overtime is because we haven't hired new firemen in several years. I changed that. We have an academy graduating, I think, with 8 team members now. We're down 25. So, of course, overtime is going to be up. We have minimum manning requirements by state law. So overtime is astronomical. But when you look at it, it levels out, because not having those firefighters, you're not paying pension contributions, you're not paying benefits. So it ends up being a wash, actually. It's just not a good way to run the fire department, forcing guys to work, hours and hours of overtime. That's why we have the academy. I believe we have a class graduating this Friday. So that's how we've addressed it.
That's good to hear. Congratulations to that class.
Yep.
Obviously, when it comes to small businesses, taxes are always an issue, something that always comes up in conversations. Mm-hmm. But some of our small businesses also, have seen an increase in property taxes. Some of them own the buildings that they're in. And they're wondering, is there any alleviation of things of that nature that are coming as more funds come into the town? Is there a way to somehow appease some of that for some of these small businesses?
Well,
and other residents.
There hasn't been a tax increase in Warwick in 3 years now. We have reval coming up this year. We'll adjust the tax rate. I can't say for sure, but I highly doubt there'll be a tax increase this year because of the revenue loss money we can get from the ARPA funds. And we're doing well. I mean, I was very conservative with the city's money this past year because a lot of uncertainty due to COVID. But we have reval, so we're going to see how that plays out.
It's good to know. I think revaluation is always a tricky thing, but if you
especially in the market, in the real estate market.
yeah. Oh, well, the real estate market is, as I said before, through the roof. Unbelievable. See what else we've got here from some of our members. Oh yes, can we? I know you mentioned you've got the economic development office and things of that nature. Can we get contact info for that we can put up on the screen and let our members know about that? Do you have that available, or can we get that?
I don't have it. Give me a minute, I can do it.
That'd be, yeah.
People can call City Hall 738-2000 and ask for an economic development, and you can contact the website.
All right. Ben, if you could throw up that number and that website on the screen for our members, that would be fantastic. Do we have, speaking of our members, people watching on Facebook, do we have some questions from the Facebook Live, Ben? Has anyone got any questions for the mayor?
Yes, we do. So let's see. Can you tell me more about the Nino Hotel?
I assume you're talking about the homeless situation there.
Yeah, that probably would be the question there. Yeah.
Yeah. Nilo's are entered into an agreement with Crossroads. I think it's 180 rooms. The state's funded it for $3 million. They never talked to us. They don't have to get our permission. I would have appreciated a heads up and did some community outreach, because I think it was Amos House did the same thing last year, and there were a lot of problems in the neighborhood. A heads up would have been great for the residents. It was just a bomb that dropped.
Well, that is unfortunate, though. Obviously, the homeless situation is terribly unfortunate right now as well. So,
I mean, something does have to be done. We're not against it. I mean, the homeless have to be housed, especially during winter months. As I said, though, I think the neighbors are upset, and I think they would have been more accepting of it if somebody came to them and at least given them a heads up a few weeks prior. We just found out about the population was there, and I found out about it from our police department, because they were starting to respond to a lot of calls.
No, that's not great. Thank you for the update on that. I appreciate that. Ben, any other questions on the Facebook Live?
No other questions that I see at the moment.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for doing that for us. We have the number there up on the screen for City Hall. Please make sure, like the mayor mentioned, there's an economic development office. So if you're looking to start a small business in Warwick, please give that number a call. Check in with the economic development office and go through all those steps and procedures that as we've learned, as many of us have learned in the small business community, there's a lot, especially in different cities and towns. Speaking of that, one of our members, I just mentioned a little while ago, opened up the Talent Factory up there on Metro Center Boulevard, a new location. He's already had a successful business in North Kingstown and moved into Warwick. And I don't know if there's any way around this, but I'd like your thoughts, at least, when you are established and set in one town or city in Rhode Island, and you move or open a second location in another, often things don't correlate at all. There's different sets of zoning and, well, obviously zoning, but different sets of building codes and fire codes, things of that nature. And that's what Hugo ran into from North Kingstown to Warwick. I understand we have 39 cities and towns, and we're not going to take away anyone's sovereignty in any way, shape, or form that way. But how can we streamline that? What are your thoughts on that? Is there any way that we could somehow get a statewide code for some of these things?
Almost all codes and fire codes are statewide.
Well, at least according to Hugo, he had different requirements for sprinkler systems than he did in North Kingstown.
Well, they go off state laws. We may have they may be tweaked, and our inspection may be different, but I'd have to check that, because as far as I know, we go by state code. You remember after the station fire?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they come up with a statewide code. It's very severe, but they don't switch.
Okay. Well, I will share some of that information with them. I know it took them quite a while to get a certificate of occupancy and things of that nature.
Because fire department, we only have an inspector, I believe. And we've added 2, but they had to be certified. So that could have been part of his delay.
That makes sense. It goes back to that conversation as well. That's understandable. Well, he's open and he's happy. So I don't think it wasn't a matter of anything being onerous. I think it was just a matter of being different.
Right.
And so,
they take a different. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's our show. That's our half hour with the mayor. I'm sorry we started a little late. I mean, if there's anything else you'd like to add, Mr. Mayor, about small businesses there in Warwick, anything you'd like to summarize up with, please, please feel free.
Just that I know that Warwick's always been viewed as a very difficult place to open a business in, and they were right. And that's why we've come up with a concierge system to just help businesses open here. When I was running for office last year, I had next to my campaign headquarters was a woman trying to open up a grooming salon, and she was going through a process for 4 or 5 months, couldn't get answers, no one helped her. They unnecessarily had her hire landscape architects. She got through it, but just seeing that, I knew we needed a system. And I modeled a lot of it after what Cranston did, what Alan Fung did there. I talked to him extensively. I've gotten very close to Alan. He was a very good mayor. He's very, he knows how to bring business to a city. And I kind of modeled, our economic development department on his. And it's still a work in progress, actually.
No, it sounds very positive. I mean, everything's a work in progress, so that's good to hear. And as I mentioned, I think your past experience as a small business owner, certainly a contractor, must be a benefit. Personally, it's fun to watch some of the shakeups that you're doing too. So I think that's great. We'll see if Mr. Mayor Fung decides to run again, but we actually have his wife, Barbara Ann Fenton Fung, as one of our guests next year. So we'll talk with her, and she's doing great work in the General Assembly. So thank you again for your time. We really appreciate it. Glad you're able to come on, and certainly hope you have a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you too.
So that was Warwick Mayor Frank Picozzi. Thank you very much for watching our show with him. As I mentioned at the head of the show, head to rismallbusiness.org, and you can sign up for the newsletter to be alerted when things like the show and other polls and information are coming out. There's a lot happening with the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition, so I hope you sign up at rismallbusiness.org. As I mentioned, we're off in 2 weeks, but we'll be back on Tuesday, January 11th at noon with Governor Dan McKee. We're also going to have Senate President Ruggiero with us, Representative Greg Amore, Representative Barbara Ann Fenton Fung, as I mentioned, Representative Scott Slater, and then James Mutchler from SCORE RI, Doris de Los Santos from the Center for Women in Enterprise, Tomas Avila from the Rhode Island Office of Diversity, Equity, and Opportunity, and Representative Blake Filippi. They'll all be our guests for the first few months of 2022. Thank you, as always, for watching. We really appreciate it. We hope these shows are educational and informative for you, small businesses out there in Rhode Island. Please check out rismallbusiness.org. And from myself, in my slightly holiday and festive suit here, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Happy Hanukkah's already passed, but happy holidays to everyone out there. Appreciate it. Take care.